Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to. If you're interested in creating more balance in your life, understanding your 5-element energetic nature, finding the path of greatest ease,
or releasing the baggage of this lifetime and discovering ancient alchemy that can help you fly in your life, join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. My name is Jay, and this is Pod 37, and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Lita Herman.
Welcome back, Inspired Actioneers. Today is an important day because we're going to be discussing what's considered the most important palace of the 9 palaces, and that's the health palace.
Yeah, I think it is definitely either 1 or 2. I think home is really important, and I think health is really important if you're living in this modern world, which we all are, because you need your health. You have to have your health, and it is definitely what I call a domino palace. When this starts to go down, other ones start to fall.
Yes.
So it is really important.
And as you probably know, if you've been listening for a while, we are in the middle of going through each of the 9 palaces in the podcast.
Yeah. And Lita, why don't we do a little recap on the last 2, which was on the relationship podcast. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we discussed all the ways that you can examine your love relationships, and especially with the 5 elements and how people's energetic dynamics impact your relationship.
Yeah, and it's the whole month. We did it in February, so it was a little hint of Valentine's there. So love is in the air. Do 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 do.
You started singing in the last podcast.
I had to go a little bit of singing here, but no, just so we can get everyone in a happy place, because sometimes the health palace can be a little bit of a wah wah wah.
Well, it shouldn't be.
I know it should be the
wonderful.
opposite. Yes, it should be the opposite. But people either are. I think when I talk to people, they're either really super obsessed with health, or they really don't even think about it at all.
Yeah.
They take it for granted.
Which sometimes is the better way to be, because if you're not thinking about it at all, it means you're in good health.
Yeah. I always like to say I'm in perfect health.
Yes.
I did that for years. So that's it for the recap of the relationship. That's it. So go back and listen to 35 and 36 if you want to do more on the relationship. You can also send us a question. You could pop into our private Facebook group for Inspired Action. You can ask questions there, or we pop in and look around as much as possible. And also, if we have a question and we use the question on our show, which is coming up, and right after the 9 palaces, we're going to do an all question show. And if we use your question, we will mail you an Inspired Action t-shirt, whatever size you want. How's that?
Yeah.
Isn't that like special, whatever size you want?
Yes, whatever size you want.
Just a little humor there. Okay, so, and the t-shirts are really cool. So we've had quite a few questions. We're just about... we're still looking for questions. So you could be a question on the 9 palaces. We've got a really good question on the ghost points. It could be on the 5 elements. It could be on nutrition. We're going to talk about health. And by the time we're done, it could be a question on any of the 9 palaces.
And send your question to questions@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
Yeah. And so let's talk a really quick about the MAP program, which is the Master Alchemy program, which is filled for 2019, but we're already taking a wait list, email list for 2020. You can go to inspiredactionpodcast.com, check out the Master Alchemy button, and get more information there.
And we have a new app. And so if you haven't heard about it, it's called Inspired Action App.
Yeah, it's got our little logo. It has all of our podcasts on there. It has some of the meditations. We're adding more all of the time, and it's going to grow. It's still in its baby steps. I know I keep saying that, but it takes time. Right now, it's like a little toddler. It still has its diaper on. It just crawling. It hasn't quite got out of the crib yet, but it's gonna be great.
Yes. And we're doing more meditations every day, so you'll be seeing those soon, probably in March.
Yeah, definitely coming soon. So we have a lot of plans, and we also take suggestions on that too. So if you have anything on any of our stuff that you think we could do better, just let us know.
So let's get back to health, the health palace.
Yeah, it is kind of a serious topic, but I don't like to make it serious. I like to talk about it in a fun kind of way, but it's really paying attention, self-care, self-cultivation, body, mind, spirit. That's what we're kind of all about here. So let's keep it.
Wait. What's the most important criteria for your health?
Fun.
Yes.
You gotta have fun. Gotta have fun. Yes.
Happiness, lightness.
Yes.
These
what
are
do
all
they say?
the
Laughter is the best medicine.
Yes,
right?
Laughter is the best medicine, and it's true. It's absolutely true.
So we're going to try to make you laugh a little bit, but it is kind of, all the 9 palaces have this, fun undertone. This has this, serious undertone. It is your life, but, life doesn't have to always be serious. So if you're having serious health crisis, don't think we're making fun or treating it lightly. We know what's going on. We deal with that every day with people in the clinic.
Yes.
So we're just trying to have a little laughter because it is the best medicine.
Yes, laughter is the best medicine. I love it.
Yeah. So Lita, why do you think this is the most important palace of the 9? I think it's 1 or 2, but it's definitely 1 or 2.
Well, I like when you say, Jay, that if health goes out of balance, then everything else is pretty much in jeopardy.
Yeah, it goes right down the toilet there, whoosh, in a big flush.
Like if you have a health crisis and then you can't work.
Yeah.
And then you don't get money, so your wealth palace is affected and your prosperity.
Then you can't have adventures, you can't travel, you're really not enjoying your hobbies,
Everything goes down the tubes.
And it is, people who obsess about it also, I think it kind of gets into this frozen mode as well, because they're always thinking about every single thing that they do, if they put in their mouth and everything. So it can kind of...
It can be an obsession.
It can be an obsession as well. So we're trying to find the balance. All the 9 palaces is about balance, finding the balance. So health is important. So we're going to talk about that. But I mentioned this in the relationship palace, that if you have a crisis moment where you have a relationship that you can't leave or you're struggling with, or you have a job that you can't leave that you're struggling with, your health palace will kind of supersede the universe and step in and could possibly make you sick. So you have to leave that relationship. So you have to leave that job. So you have to make some kind of action.
That's really good point. It happens so often.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
So you have to really kind of pay attention to this in a way of how it affects all of your palaces. If I say to you, what do you do for fun? And you're like, I don't even have time. I'm too tired all the time. Or, I'm stressed all the time. That's a health palace.
I've seen people who get some kind of minor health crisis, but it prevents them from doing their job.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, something with their arm and they have to type, for example, and now they can't go to work.
Yeah.
Now, is that happening because the job made it happen or because they hate the job?
Well, I think probably carpal tunnel was created by the universe to get people out of the jobs that are monotonous and boring that they don't want to do in the first place.
Right. Yeah. They hate their job. Therefore, their body kind of goes rogue.
Yeah. So if you have that issue, I know you can always tell people to come in for Chinese medicine for carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
To work on that.
Oh my gosh. We're going to do an episode in this segment on health that's going to be about that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk, when we talk about, health and the health palace, a lot of people think instantly about food. And yes, that's a huge component, but that is not the only component.
Yes.
So let's talk about the good components, the good components of good health.
Well, there's sleep. That's really important.
That's probably, it's like the number one underlying component for sure. I mean, you have food and water and exercise and movement, but if they all start to erode if you don't have enough sleep.
Right.
So some people don't even understand I had a whole session with someone on sleep and the circadian rhythms and, being on your phone or your computer and how much time do you need in a night. And they were just like, wow, I didn't never thought of it that way. So it's really about time management on the sleep. We're going to talk about that more in time management, but when we did a show on that. So sleep.
Yeah, that was important. Episode 2.
Wow, good memory on that. Must be getting a lot of sleep. And sleep does help your memory, by the way. Enough sleep. It helps a lot of things. I mean, I would say probably there's nothing in your whole body that wouldn't benefit from more sleep.
So, Jay, we're going to do a number of episodes on health because it's such a big topic.
Yes.
And we're going to go over sleep and exercise and qi, moving your qi, which is so important, and your mental health, like reduction in stress and meditation techniques and those sorts of things. But today we're going to really just talk about health in general, the health palace.
And it is a all-encompassing palace. It is important to have a self-cultivating, self-care routine. Is all about what's going on. And that's also mental health too. I always throw that category in as well.
Yeah, if we actually go with health being a good state of mind, then, if you have this philosophy that if you believe you're healthy, then you are healthy.
Yeah.
And if someone comes along and says you're doing something unhealthy and that changes your state of mind and you start doubting yourself, then that's not good.
Well, we see, if we'll go right off the start here with food and eating. And, one of the topics that comes up a lot is diets. So if you're on any diet, and you're humming along and doing great, and then you meet someone and they say, hey, I don't agree with that diet. There's studies that have shown, and that could just be a very vague statement that what you're doing is not healthy. Boy, that casts a doubt in your mind. You have to be really clear on what your beliefs are.
Yes, you have to be in alignment with what you believe is healthy. It doesn't matter what I believe or Jay believes is healthy. It's what you believe is healthy.
Yeah.
If we say, you need to eat this diet, which we're not ever going to say, but let's say we did say that, and then you suddenly went, oh, I have to change my diet. But you don't really believe that?
Yeah, you're just doing it for maybe you want to lose weight or you want to look good. And those are great reasons, no doubt about it. But you have to believe that what you're putting in your body, the food or vitamins or liquids, are nourishing, and you're only going to take the good out of those.
Right. So if you are doing something that you believe is quote unquote bad, then every day you're sending a negative message to the cells in your body, and your body's individual parts become guarded. And it's like there's resistance. Remember, we talked so much about resistance in the early podcast.
Yeah, that's really big in this palace for sure. If you're going to a fast food restaurant every day or every other day, and you shouldn't be eating there because it's bad for you or it feels bad for you, but yet you still do it. And I say, why? Why are you doing that? You're like, oh, I don't have time. You know what people say? I can't afford to eat healthy. That is crazy. It's crazy. It's about making choices, and it might be easier to go to the fast food restaurant. It might be cheaper to go to the fast food restaurant, but is that really what life is about?
But if they believe that what they're eating at the fast food restaurant is healthy, and they really believe that, they're doing better than if they thought it was bad for them.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Tell the Dr. Pepper story.
Yeah, there's a whole show out, and it's about, I think they interviewed 100 people who lived over 100. And this woman, she was 104, and she was talking about how she drank 3 Dr. Peppers a day. And people who are, she loves them. She drinks them. And the doctor that she went to said, oh, you need to stop right away. You need to stop. And she's like, I'm not going to stop. And then she talks about how he died like 10 years later, and she still was drinking her Dr. Peppers, and she's 104 years old. And she said, maybe it's the sugar that's keeping me alive.
Yeah.
She believed that it was okay for her to have those Dr. Peppers.
Exactly.
And, you hear it all the time about the people who are, drink a shot of whiskey, or, they smoke a pack of cigarettes every day till they're 80. I mean, there's every asterisk to everything, but they believed that they wanted to do that and it was okay for them.
We've all had the experience of putting something in our mouths and thinking, this is really bad for me. I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. How many times a day do we do that? You know?
So if you're living a healthy lifestyle, probably it's not going to happen that often.
Right.
So, but if you're doing it over and over and over, and you're having these conversations, and what you do is you go into a self-negotiation. Oh, one cupcake is not going to be a problem, or one, cigarette. I'm only smoking a half a pack a day. It's not that bad. Or so it's just this whole thing. You're negotiating. You're never going to win with your brain negotiating, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah,
there's this whole Jim Fortin thing about the lizard brain.
Yeah, the identity.
The identity. So we always talk about the shifting of identity in the lizard brain. So if you go to negotiate with yourself about, whatever it is that you're trying to have in the moment, you're going to always get what you want, which is that thing. So you have to shift that identity. And if you're on a healthy lifestyle, guess what? You don't eat cupcakes.
Maybe we should explain that lizard brain thing a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
The idea is that you have an identity that feels safe. And if you're eating or doing something that you think is unhealthy, the lizard brain, which is the back of the brain,
the primitive
part of your brain wants you to keep doing it no matter what.
It's pleasure.
And
it's survival.
So if your sort of higher level brain, the forehead area of the brain says, this is a dumb idea, let's stop doing that. The back of the brain the lizard part is going to say, no, we think we should continue doing what we're doing, the status quo, because we are safe and we wouldn't want to make any changes. Right.
So that's the lizard brain. I use that theory a lot when people have habits they want to kick. So I always send them over to Jim Fortin to read his stuff, look at his stuff.
We love it. Put him in the show notes because it's awesome.
Because we use the identity. We've been using the identity theory for many years, and then we discovered him just recently, and it's worked out really well.
Fundamentally, I think it's NLP theory.
Yeah, which is a lot of people.
A lot of people like
Tony
Robbins.
Yeah. Tony Robbins. and Jim Fortin, and just tons and tons of people. So, all right. So
if we go back to what we talked about in the very early podcast, floating downstream.
Yeah.
Part of floating downstream is that you're not fighting yourself all the time. And
right.
So that means that you don't have a lot of rebellious chi. And remember, we have that rebellious chi meditation. And if you want to be in good health, or you are already in good health, then you want to continue to not have a lot of resistance in your life.
Resistance is futile, right?
Yeah. And that's living a wu-wei life.
Okay, that was for your Star Trekkies out there. Go ahead, sorry.
Resistance is futile. Yeah. Yes. The Borg.
Yes. If you could say it with a British accent, even better.
Oh, I can't. Can you?
No. I mean, I could. It would just be pathetic.
All right, all you folks in the UK, you
just
could send
imagine
us
that we sent
a clip of saying
we could go find Picard saying it.
Resistance is futile.
So anyways, resistance is futile. That is the rebellious chi, and that is the essence of living the wu-wei life, is letting all that go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe not get overtaken by the Borg. Hopefully.
No. And actually, it's the opposite. If you think that, if you just play with me for a minute on the Borg concept as society trying to get you to do
that's true
all this thing in society, go to eat the fast food, or, drink this, or smoke this, or do this, that's the resistance is futile. Just do it. Everyone else is doing it. And that is not the way to live a healthy life.
That's funny, because it's like being in the wu-wei, you would think means just go along with this society, but it's really going along with your authentic self.
Yeah, going along with what you really want. You're living your inspired life. You're not fighting things all the time. If you're doing the things that aren't exactly healthy for you, and you're doing them every day, that means something inside you has resistance. You're not going with the flow.
That makes me think of a Chinese medicine concept.
Okay, sure. Let's go with it.
Okay. So illness is called disease or dis-ease, right? That's the breakdown of that word. And there's even an acupuncture point called not at ease. And this point is for people who are simply working too hard at everything.
Yeah, that's the rebellious chi thing again.
Right.
Yeah.
So stay with me here. Let's take that thought a little deeper. Illness isn't the thing that you think is making you ill, like a germ or whatever you think is causing you to be ill. The actual illness is your body going into resistance mode against something.
Yeah, that's why the stress is really the underlying of so many illnesses, and with other palaces.
Yes.
Like you see it all the time. So the stress. So what is stress?
Well, stress is resistance.
Yeah, stress is resistance.
So the number one thing people say to me when they come in with some kind of illness, no matter what it is that it started during a difficult time in their lives, with the stress time. Like 100% of the time when people come in,
wow,
I can identify that it's a time of stress that it started.
That is just amazing. And so those are life-changing moments, right?
Yeah, and even when someone comes in and says that nothing's stressful, like that nothing was happening, later on after I've been treating them for a while, they were like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I was in a court case. Like somebody was suing somebody or somebody was going to jail or whatever.
But they didn't see the connection.
They didn't even make the connection that was stressing them out.
Yeah, I get that too, because, they're not consciously acknowledging that that's what that's going to make them sicker, or, the domino kind of thing. But yeah, it is kind of like, it's like water fills in every crack and goes right in.
Now here's how it works. Stress is resistance, and resistance in your body is what we call in Chinese medicine a lack of qi flow, a lack of blood flow, a lack of energy flow. And overall, it's the beginning of ill health. And so we need our body to flow. We need the fluids to be moving. We need the energy to be moving for optimal health. Anything that blocks that flow is going to be at least causing the common cold, or at worst, it'll cause more serious illness.
We talk about this when we talk about Tai Chi and Qigong and movement. I know we sound like a broken record on when we talk to people about what we like them, to think about doing in their life every day. And we're going to talk about this at the end of the podcast. But it really is about, it's not just moving and exercising. It's moving the blood, moving the Qi. It's exactly what you said. If you do these things, you have it. The benefits are twofold. Not only are you building muscle and moving and raising energy and stuff, but you're moving all the stuff inside of your body. People don't think about that.
Yeah.
They don't really think about what's moving around energetically inside. They're just thinking about their, running, or they're doing, yoga or Tai Chi, Qigong. Definitely Tai Chi, Qigong.
Yes.
And maybe even martial arts would move that.
But if I were going to prioritize, I would say any kind of movement is better than no movement.
Yes.
And if you can't move because you're paralyzed or some other reason, very sick, then you should get a massage therapist to come.
Yeah.
And I know that some people can't afford that, but maybe a friend. But you actually need someone to massage your body if you're not moving it.
Yeah.
That's how important it is.
Yeah, it's definitely, in our society, there's so much going on right now with our fast-paced, media-driven lives and, entertainment and different things. There's so many people with these, I think, like brand new kind of stress-related illnesses, things we haven't even got names for.
Yes.
The iPad thumb and the iPad neck and, shoulder pain in the back,
And all the autoimmune illnesses that have cropped up over the years.
Yeah.
I see people every day where doctors can't diagnose them.
Yeah.
But they know it's some kind of autoimmune illness, but it's like a new one.
Yeah. And what about the computer screen thing? What's the one looking at the computer screen?
Oh, yeah.
CSV, computer screen something, I don't know. But yeah, so all these things are happening because we're so focused on our devices that we are getting stressed out. We don't even know it. I really think the autoimmune illnesses, wow, that's just like, just going to be like escalating, I think.
Yeah, well, that's a downer.
I know. And this is about the health palace, so we have to talk about it a little bit. But, I think one of the things that I'm always, talking about with people is less social media, less computers, less screen time, and more real time.
Yes.
Even if that's just spending it with yourself.
Right.
Self-cultivation. Or some people need to be in groups. So that's another thing we're going to talk about. So I don't know.
And, we don't want people to obsess about health because that's a health palace issue. So if you're exercising crazy out of control, or you're so obsessed with what you put in your mouth, then that's a health palace issue.
Let's talk about the mindset. Let's talk about what is a healthy mindset. How do you find that balance? What I like to do is come up with doable strategies, not stressful strategies. I don't like people to say, I have to do this. When you're saying that you have to do something, that's stress.
Right.
That's rebellion. So you want to do it. So when you make a decision to have a morning practice or a morning movement or whatever you're going to do, once that decision is made, the rest should start to unfold. You have to make that decision, that commitment. And that's really about, getting that, morning mojo going. So we talk about the New Year's resolutions. People make these resolutions in January and they're gung-ho, yay. And then come February, boom.
Well, now that it's February, I think that we could say it's a good time to have a real conversation with yourself.
Definitely.
Not one of these January, I got to force myself to do something.
I got to lose that 20 pounds this year.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't change what you're doing and change your identity, that's not magically going to fall off.
This is like a conversation with yourself about what's really, truly achievable and a very easy path to change.
Yeah. So if you want to make changes, positive changes in your life, actually live the healthy life that you want, you're going to have to come to some kind of agreement with yourself.
Yeah.
And no more self-negotiating.
Right.
Think about what is important to you and when is the time. The time is now.
Right.
The time is now. And, no one else can tell you what healthy is. Healthy for each person is different. Yes, we have these, definitely, themes that we're going to talk about, themes in this culture about what is healthy and what is not healthy. But only you can tell yourself what's healthy based on what you feel.
Right. I do want to say, though, that I think since you live in a society and a culture, there are going to be certain things where the society believes it so strongly, that there's really no debate. And if you don't believe in what, like, let's say society says, do you remember saccharin?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah, my grandmother used to eat tons of it.
I think it was in like a lot of different things, like Tab, soda, I think had saccharin.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. And different things. Saccharin was in a lot of,
she thinks it killed her.
Sugar-free things.
Yeah.
So why did she think it killed her?
She thinks it caused her pancreatic cancer, which she ultimately died of at a young age. And so much science came out about saccharin that it would be difficult for you as an individual in this day and age to say, you know what, I don't care what anyone says. I like saccharin. I think it's good. And then just eat it. So I think that you need to make your own decisions.
But you have to really believe that and not pay attention to anyone who says anything bad about saccharin? Well,
or admit that the current state of mind of the collective consciousness, like our collective consciousness, it's really hard to buck that system.
Okay, so explain to me why people still smoke.
Well, they're not listening to the collective consciousness.
Or they smoke and they say, I know this is killing me, but I don't care.
Exactly. See, that's the problem.
That's the bad.
If you continue to smoke and pretty much everyone around you believes that it's bad, then you're constantly having these feelings of I'm doing something bad. It's you can't avoid it.
So it's the addictive thing that keeps you going, maybe?
For sure. We're going to talk about that.
I'm pretty sure saccharin was addictive too.
Right.
So how do you navigate through the minefield of new products for consumption nowadays? There's so many.
Well, here's the thing. The other issue is so many people disagree. There are scientific studies on wine that are positive and scientific studies on wine that are negative. There are scientific studies on sugar that are positive and some that are negative. So how can we negotiate all that?
Well, I'm pretty certain there's no scientific study that says smoking is healthy for you.
Exactly. What? So that's an area where the collective consciousness
has agreed that smoking is bad.
So if you're trying to decide, you're having that conversation with yourself and you're doing something that everyone around you believes is bad, you really need to look at that one.
Yeah, that's a tough one because how are you going to live wherever you go? I know, a saccharin. Do they even still sell saccharin?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But now they have Splenda. They have, NutraSweet. They have just a whole, what's the one? Yellow is the Splenda. Yeah.
And you have to decide what you think about those things, not what we think.
Right. So, one of the things I always like to talk about, you and I, is eat more simply.
Yeah.
Simple foods, eat more organic, read labels, try to limit or eliminate processed foods. And that would be those sweeteners.
Right.
The processed sweeteners. If you like.
But then there are people who say everything in moderation. And that actually is a wonderful approach.
Yeah. Or they only take the good out of what they put in them.
Yeah.
So,
because
we're not saying anything is bad or good. We don't believe in good or bad. So what works for you? But if you want a simple guideline, is to eat more simply, more organic, read labels. So, Lita, there's so much consumption, different products. What do we do about doubt? What do we do about, if you start to doubt something?
That's really what it's about. Because if you're totally in alignment with yourself, you won't doubt what you're doing. Like if you set out to say, I'm going to live the healthiest life possible, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to eat this, I'm going to exercise, blah, blah, blah. And you choose what you're going to do. And then you commit to yourself that you're going to do it, and you do it.
Okay. So if one of the things is coffee in the morning. If someone thinks that in the society thinks coffee is bad for you, but every day on your healthy day, you have a cup of coffee, but maybe you go get organic and you get fair trade and you get some with none of the mold or whatever's in the coffee that everyone's complaining about. And you drink that every day. Is that good for you or bad for you?
If you read a study that says 1 cup of coffee a day is good for you, and that's what you believe wholeheartedly,
and you enjoy it,
that's probably a fantastic thing for you to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you read another article that says coffee's horrible and terrible for you, and then you start to doubt it, now you've got a problem.
Okay. So maybe just stop reading about coffee.
Stop reading. It's
Enjoy
about alignment.
Your cup, get the best that you can get, and stop reading about it. Like maybe stop obsessing about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you're a food writer. And
if you have doubt, it means you're not in alignment anymore. So if you did read that article about coffee and you have doubt, then try not drinking it for a while.
Yeah. And see, like I said, so you're like, oh, I love my coffee in the morning. I can't live without it. And then I say, well, you know what? That's going to kill you. That's not, you got to somehow, how do you get that out of your head now? How do you get that whisper in your ear out?
Fundamentally, I think the really big issue we're talking about here is that modern science, as wonderful as it is, has a lot of conflicting ideas.
Totally. And we're in a media consumption society.
Yeah. And we are flooded with these conflicting ideas, and we're panicked that we're going to do something wrong.
Well, here's my question is, when did someone's opinion become news?
Exactly.
Or science?
Well, fake news.
Fake news is so they're confusing opinions with news.
Right.
Opinion is not news either. So my opinion is not a news thought. It's just my opinion.
Well, I have clients that have come to me. I had a person who came to me who ate soy products as a vegetarian and then was absolutely 100% sure that it made her sick. Because later, after all this wonderful news came out about how great soy is, some news came out that said it's not great.
Yeah, and then it was bad for women, and then estrogen, and all. I remember the soy thing when I was in school at the time. I ate a lot of soy,
and honestly,
tofu and soy, and
I never saw any evidence that was the cause of her problems.
Yeah,
but that's what she believed.
Yep.
Now she stopped eating soy, so that's good.
Did she get better?
Well, she kind of had some chronic issues that never got better until we started working together, and so she was blaming the soy. Now, I'm not saying that that's wrong or right. I'm just saying this is what is happening to us as a society. Yeah. We have so many doubts.
You could just fill in the blank. It could be soy. It could be fill in the blank, whatever you think it is.
What I tell people is say a little mantra to yourself. Like you said, Jay, I'm in perfect health.
Yeah, I'm in perfect health.
And manifest perfect health. It's not a prayer or a wish. I wish I had perfect health. It's I am in perfect health. I mean, even if I have toenail fungus or something, I'm still really healthy. And so if you start manifesting your perfect health, guess what? Your fungus will go away.
So if you say, I go swimming every day and I love it, but I go in the locker room and I get toenail fungus and that's making me sick, I mean, do you stop swimming or what do you do?
Well, toenail fungus is a great example of something being a little out of balance in your body.
Yeah.
And so if you start manifesting good health in your mind,
and balance,
your state of mind, your toe fungus will get better because your body will be back in balance.
Yeah.
And also, you will have the realization that, maybe there is something I'm eating or doing that's not great, and you'll make an adjustment. Because you're manifesting your good health.
So I guess it all comes down to resonance. What resonates with you? What is in your alignment?
That's it. That is so it. What is your resonance with?
If you feel like you want to eat vegetarian, eat vegetarian.
Yeah.
If that makes you happy. If you want to be vegan, eat vegan. If you want to be paleo, keto, whatever.
Gluten-free, whatever.
Yeah. Do what you feel in alignment with, what resonates with you, what your body feels good doing.
Yeah. It's almost like, someone told me, I've heard this many times, but just the other day about the story of ancient grains versus modern grains and how we've basically effed up our grains in this country. Yeah. And supposedly the European grains are better. So folks in Europe can tell us whether that's true or not. And this is an issue. This is really what we're worried about. We're worried that our food isn't good for us. And you can also do peanuts and wheat and soy, all have been tampered with. And then don't even get me started on the GMO and corn.
The GMO products. So they might be good for the people who are making those pesticides and those fertilizers, but it might not be good for the people who are eating them.
Right.
And it might take 10, 20, 30, 40 years to figure that out.
But see, that's a story. And it's a
collective story.
Yeah, it's a collective story, but it's not definitive enough that everyone believes it. So if you don't believe it, don't listen. Don't take that in. Yeah. That's not your story. If you do believe it, then do something about it.
Yeah.
Change
so
it.
You have conspiracy theorists now. Now you're bringing in a whole thing that's in society. Mm-hmm. People who are the naysayers, the conspiracy theories, we hear people talking about the chemtrails and we can go on. We could do a whole show on just that. But for today, let's just think about what is good. Let's talk about what is the healthy mindset. What are the components? Yes. Let's go to the next component.
I want to tell you one more story.
Okay, go ahead. This is all about stories.
I was talking about health at a conference. And I was doing a little presentation, and this guy came up to me afterwards. He looked to be about 65, maybe 70 at the most. And he said to me, I just don't understand. He said, I've been healthy every day of my life, and I've never even had a thought in my mind ever of being out of health. I said, really? Wow, that's so rare. Congratulations. And he said, well, I think it's because after hearing your talk, I realized when I was young, I was in school, and everyone in my school got sick except me. And I was fine. they all got flu. Some of them died. So it was a really bad illness and I didn't get it. So for the rest of my life, I just I assumed I would never get sick.
See, there you go. He thought he was stronger.
Yeah.
He thought he had this immunity.
Yeah.
He thought he was just do his thing. He didn't have bad thoughts that this was going to make me sick or that was going to make me sick.
He never doubted it.
Yeah.
It's an incredible story because he proved to himself through this as a young child that he was a healthy person and he
So
held
that's
to
the
that.
mindset we're talking about.
Yeah.
Have this perfect health mindset.
Yeah.
Find what works for you. So again, we're talking about the mindset. What resonates with you? What's in alignment? And so this whole podcast is about, I don't want to say theory, but it's about what we can do to think about.
Yeah.
And the next podcast, let's do more practical, more things.
Yes. So I think this podcast, we're going to wrap up. And then the next podcast will be part 2 of health. And we'll go over lots of ideas, food ideas, water, sleep, meditation, exercise. So just ideas for things to consider and see if you resonate with them.
Yeah. And if you're already rocking it and you feel very healthy, you could skip over these podcasts because you know what? We don't want to waste your time because time's a resource.
Although I have to say, I believe I'm very healthy. I've been manifesting my perfect health for a long time. And as we go through these 9 palaces, the ones that normally check off, my career is good, my health is good, my relationships are good, all these things that I'm like, got that one, piece of cake.
What kind of cake?
Right. I've been reevaluating them anyway. Even though they check off.
I think you can always find more balance, better alignment. You're a different person than you were even a year ago.
Yeah, I can't believe how much this podcast has been helping me kind of reevaluate my life.
Yeah,
I love it.
Me too,
I
definitely.
love it. So,
I think everyone needs to look at what they're doing, even if you're rocking it. Like if you're doing it, you don't have to skip the podcast. You could still listen because you can always improve. All right. So this is a good time to put in some homework.
Yes.
If you choose to accept it.
If you choose to accept it.
I would like you to take a look at your overall healthy choices. And again, no judgment, no shame, no blame, no games. Just think about what you're doing. Are you eating the way you want to eat? Or are you waiting for that perfect world where, Oprah's personal chef comes knocking on your door, wanting to come in every day and make lunch for you? Make a little...
I want that.
The melon ball come, remember I remember one time watching a show and they did a house thing and he had to come in with the melon ball. I'm like, oh my God, I want someone to come and make the melon balls for me. Okay. So think about your choices minus the Oprah's personal chef.
Yes.
And think about what are you putting in your body? Are you eating healthy? Are you making good choices? Are you drinking enough water?
Yeah.
The basics. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
And then after you think about, you can do a little food diary if you really are in a health crisis. You can start with that. But think about, we talk about this all the time, probably every single show. What do you really want?
Yes.
What do you really want? Are you taking care of your body? Do you nourish your body? That's the word right there, nourish.
Yes.
And again, are you thriving or are you surviving?
Right.
So think about those things. So you can ask yourself, and if you're not living this perfectly healthy life, what is your body craving? Better food, more sleep, movement, self-cultivation, spiritual?
Yes.
What is the more? I want more in my life. What is the category you want more in?
And don't worry if you can't manifest something right away. It takes a while to shift an identity. So if you're a sugarholic like I was, I used to put away Trader Joe's chocolate bar in a day.
Yeah, those big giant
back in the
ones.
Day. Oh my God, a pound of chocolate. Easy peasy. And then I allowed myself to eat whatever I wanted one day a week for, I don't know.
Year and a half.
Maybe a year and a half. And it cured my sugarholic problem.
Yeah, I think that, that's another whole topic we can talk about. But I think what you did, Lita, is you shifted your identity.
Yes, I no longer am a sugarholic. I am literally not.
So when you wake up in the morning, you don't say to yourself, oh my God, am I going to go to Trader Joe's today and get that giant chocolate bar?
But look how hard I had to work to take. Yes.
You don't do that, right?
No, I don't. But
so
look
you don't have to deal with that. Those challenges.
No, I don't do that anymore. But look how hard I had to work to change that identity.
Yeah.
It took me a year and a half.
Well, I don't think it's, I think it's hard work, but it's conviction. You decided that you wanted to change. I did my own food things, same journey that you were on, but different obstacles, different challenges. And now I have none of those cravings. And so it's easy for us to say, oh, we don't have those cravings, but it was work. And it is once that decision was made, things happen. Was it perfect every time? No, but things got better. Now, a couple years later, I have none of the same issues at all. And I thought I couldn't live without bread or rice or ice or sugar, all of the things. I had a lot. I had like tons and tons. And now I live a pretty clean eating life.
And going back to, what we did, at least what I did, is I allowed myself to eat whatever I wanted one day a week. And that's what helped my identity change, because I no longer was in conflict.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, I don't really want to eat this anymore, because I allowed myself to eat what I never had allowed myself to eat before.
Because you thought that, it was bad for you, or whatever that rebellious was. So that's cool. I did the same thing. We did. And the other thing is, if you want to make changes, it does help if you make them with an accountability partner or a group of people. If you don't have someone that you can do it with, the journal, we will talk about the journaling. That could be your accountability, self-accountability. It also helps, I think, with the mental stresses if you're writing things down. Right. So you don't have to have a partner to do this. You can use your journal. Once you make the decisions to change, then that's it. You've made the decision. What's the next step? Let it flow to you. Let it think about what you want to make the changes. And take it slow, baby steps.
And take it slow, baby steps. But the first step is to just evaluate. What are you doing that you like, and what are you doing that you don't like?
Right. And think about, and you don't have to have the answers of where you need to get to. You just need to know you want to make changes.
Right.
So, I think the idea behind, Lita and I telling everyone what we do in our life is to inspire you that you can make these changes, these big changes in the Health Palace. You can find your own way, find what works for you. But I think the key is action. Inspired action. What a coincidence.
Right.
That's the name of the podcast.
Right.
So we hope you find yours and be in perfect health.
Yes, be in perfect health.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, this is Jay. If you're still listening to the podcast, Lita and I have a special little announcement we want to make for our book, Energy of Love.
It's February and we're in the mood for love.
So love is still in the air.
Love is still in the air. So we are offering a free copy of our Energy of Love book, which we would happily send you anywhere in the world.
For an inspired action on your part, if you rate and review our podcast, or if you refer it to a friend on Facebook or Instagram.
Just send us a DM or an email.
Let us know what you did.
And let us know that you've been sharing this wonderful inspiration with others, and we would love to send you that book.
If you'd also like an Inspired Action t-shirt, send us a question to questions@Inspired Action Podcast. And if you do it in the same time frame, we'll send it with the book as well. So get out there and do some inspired action. Spread the word. Sharing is caring. And if you know someone who might listen to the podcast, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there. We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.